All right, here we go on a Tuesday night. A familiar face, me. I've actually been sitting out some of the Tuesday nights recently. We've got the crew of Allie, Plus Money Honey, and Alex, but they have the night off tonight because we got some important breaking news to get to, and we went off the air like in Mystery Zone. It sounded like what we had talked about going back to February, Otzelberger to Iowa State, had actually come to fruition. So we bring in the experts. Adam Hill is here. Mike Grimala is here. I never see Mike anymore because, Mike, without me going on the road, Mike, did you go on the road at all with UNLV?
I did not for UNLV this year, no.
Yeah, so you and I both didn't go on the road, and we usually we'll break some bread. You've helped me out with some travel stuff, driving up to like Fort Collins. So, and I know you're like Bischoff property on the press box, so we kind of stay away from the press box. But I haven't talked to you in forever. And then at the games, like I would see you pass by here and there, but I was down on the floor, and you guys were stuck up in the freaking stands.
Yeah, we need to get on the road for some of these Mountain West games again with some of these car trips. Like that's when you and I have our quality time. And that's been ripped away from us in the past year.
Yes.
I don't want to speak for Mike, but I will say that where we sit, it's like the people have called me and you, Steve, like the commenters on the Muppets, like the always talking trash. I think that's me and Grimala at the games. I mean, I don't want to give too much away.
You know what? I could see the Adam Hill effect on Mike. Mike, I got to tell you, Mike was more salty this year with the brand of basketball. Mike came off annoyed so many times at what he was watching. He's like, basically, you didn't say it, but you're just like, like this is. I don't like this right now.
I try not to let it color my commentary the way I'm feeling, but it was a long season. It was a short season, but it was very long, and so you could just see that things weren't going well and they weren't getting any better this year. So I mean, I tried not to let it seep out, but if you were picking up on it, maybe I need to tone it down a little more or turn it up. Maybe I should turn it up.
So, Mike, let's address you said something right before we came on, and for folks who are just tuning in who don't watch normally, UNLV looks like they're going to lose their coach, TJ Otzelberger. Adam's paper reported that was going to happen. I saw Matt Norlander from CBS Sports said it was the case. I know, Mike, you're trying to follow the story as well, but it struck me before we came on. You're like, yeah, this is not really a big surprise.
Yeah, if you read the CBS story that came out, the one of the lines in it was that this move has been in the works for a month. Like it's been pretty much agreed to for a long time now, and the rumors have been out there. It makes sense on every level. It wasn't even really a coaching search when Iowa State opened up. They had one guy. They had Otzelberger. That was the one person they focused on, and it looks like it's heading towards being done now.
I mean, obviously, there's a lot of things you hear and report, and what you hear and what you have been told is different than what you can actually report. But I will say, like, having some conversations today in the coaching world, this has been known. Like, when there's a job that's going to be available, the coaches start talking and they start asking around, and assistants are calling other assistants and, hey, who's taking that job? Maybe I can angle for an assistant job there. Maybe whoever's getting that job, I can angle for the head job at where they're leaving from. Like, all these things start happening when there's a job available. And talking to some people today, there was none of that. None. Because all the coaches were like, oh, yeah, TJ's taking it. It's over. But, I mean, those things don't really come out until it's already kind of, decided. So, like, now you hear about those stories, but it's been an open secret for sure in the coaching world. And now, it's kind of out there for everybody. But, if you, I guess, as some of the commenters were referring to, our listeners aren't surprised, and most people shouldn't be surprised.
Not even after the season that they had. I know it's been in the works and that it may not be like surprising considering the history, but for UNLV fans who are like not looking at the bigger picture, I can see how they would be completely blindsided by losing a coach after the kind of season they had. Like, you just do not expect when you look up and you're like 0-5 to start the year, and like you're like 2 of your 11 wins are coming against non-Division I teams, and like you you don't expect a bigger school to come in and steal your coach after that. So I can see some people may have seen it coming, but I'm sure there were some people who were still like completely blindsided by this. And it's sort of like, here we go, like another coaching search. Like, what can we do to avoid a coaching search? It seems like every offseason is good, whether we have a bad coach or a good coach or whatever. It's like they're always looking for a new coach.
And this is a little different because I think one of the things that we always tell people and we always caution people against is like, you want your coach moving on after 3 years. That's usually a really good thing. Usually that means they came in here, killed it, and now they're moving on to a different job, and they're leaving like a great foundation for somebody to come into. So like having a coaching search every 3 years isn't necessarily a terrible thing. In this case, it's a little bit different because the cupboard is being left quite bare. You would expect most of the guys that are here to transfer. And then the recruiting class, which was going to be a top 10 recruiting class in the country, and then all of a sudden took a massive hit, is now pretty much going to be, eviscerated too. So this is not a typical, hey, your coach did a great job and he's moving on situation.
Yeah, like this was all on the day Otzelberger was hired at UNLV. Like it was a possibility. Like it was not that was expected. Like he will do well if he does well, and then he'll move on, and then like. Kevin Kruger can take over, if the ship is rolling at that point, or like you kind of expect it's built into that kind of hire. TJ was a young guy when he got here. I think he was 41 when he was hired. He'd only had one head coaching job. He was on the way up. UNLV is kind of a stepping stone for a guy like that. So you assume it would happen, 3, maybe 4 years. But if you're UNLV, you at least want to get an NCAA tournament appearance out of it, or you want to get like more for your time before you send the coach off to a bigger school for a bigger salary.
Well, I mean, going back to what you said a couple of minutes ago about it's strange that a guy who's 25 and 26 and really didn't accomplish what he wanted to is going bye-bye. Adam had heard this, and I'm sure Mike had as well. The relationship between the AD at Iowa State and Otz goes back so far. I mean, we had Randy Peterson on, who works for the Des Moines Register, and he was telling a story that, and Adam had heard the story, but for the audience, that the AD used to drive up years ago to watch Otz's games at South Dakota State, like take a 7-hour drive just as a fan. So I mean, they're really tight. To me, unless Otz had won like 5 games this year, he was going to get a pass from a lot of people as a coaching prospect because of COVID. And this is the guy they wanted. So, and that's why, I mean, they didn't interview anyone else. I mean, this, as Adam said, this started like 3 weeks ago, which I think is a whole nother discussion. If a sitting head coach should be negotiating his next job, it's one thing if Richard Pitino, like a week before he, even Richard Pitino knew he was going to get fired for a while, but like a week out is like, I better start lining up the ducks just in case I'm out of here. But it's a little weird with Otz, is it not? That potentially, and Randy Peterson from the Des Moines Register wouldn't say outright that they had forged this deal probably 2 or 3 weeks ago, but he's like, I don't have evidence though to say they didn't.
I don't think it was from Otzelberger's perspective. If you can get out now, because like it wasn't going great. Like it was supposed to be a stepping stone job, and all of a sudden, year 2, they're bad. They don't look like your number one recruit that you spent 2 years planning your future around has a horrific incident, and now he's not going to come. And you're going to turn over half your roster again next year. You probably weren't going to be a good team next year either. If you're TJ Otzelberger and you want to, like, this is the time to pull the ripcord. Like, Iowa State kind of came in and kind of saved them a little bit, because if not for that job and his singular connection to that school and that one AD, that one relationship, he might have been at UNLV for a while. And that's if he wins. He might have ended up leaving UNLV, on a hot seat next year or 2 years from now. This was perfect timing for him. So obviously he's going to take this and he's going to get out of town.
And I want to go back to your story, Steve, the point about the AD from Iowa State driving up and seeing Otzelberger coach at South Dakota State. Like, there's a lot of layers to that. And it's not like he was saying, hey, I'm going to watch this guy who's our future coach. It just illustrates how like beloved TJ Otzelberger is on the campus at Iowa State. Now, among the fan base, that might not be the case, because I know there's a lot of people upset about it. But in terms of the campus, like what the AD would do is take his family and drive up to the games and then like post photos to the people back at Iowa State and be like, "Hey, I'm here supporting our guy TJ. Like it's our our hometown hero out here on the sidelines coaching a team." Like that's the kind of relationship it was. That's the kind of relationship that the campus has with TJ Otzelberger. That's why it made sense. Like this is like a Chris Beard to Texas Tech. Like that was the job that was going to take him. This is the job that TJ Otzelberger was going to take. Now, as Mike said, it was really fortunate timing because a year from now might be a different case. But everything just kind of worked out for them right here where they are.
So let's go back to if this was somewhat common knowledge that the AD freaking loved Otz. Mike, why was he hired in the first place if we thought, hey, the next point he could jump to is Iowa State? And I'm trying to think when he was hired. I guess, Prom hadn't been doing a great job. Was he off a 23-win season 2 years ago? I don't know, because I think it also, to me, it shapes what they look for next. Because I think there's going to be a lot of UNLV fans who are like, how about not getting an up-and-comer and get a second or third chance guy who really wants to be at UNLV? It's not a stopping off point.
They've had bad luck recently with coaches and their dream jobs. But it's like tough to work around. Like if you're UNLV and you already have a hard time finding a good quality coach, like you're not going to help your chances by cutting the field to coaches that won't leave for a better job. Like that you're just taking out so many good candidates that you're making it almost impossible to find someone like good. Like who do you want a coach that once you hire him, he has no other options besides UNLV? Like that's probably not the ideal thing would be to hire a coach who does well here, and you, through good management of your athletic department, you have the money to retain him if you want to. If another school tries to poach him, and that's what UNLV is supposed to be. They're supposed to be, we're in the Mountain West, but we're really we're really a power conference type of team because we got the facilities and we got all this, and we can pay our coach the most in the conference. Like that's what the model is supposed to be. Find a good coach and keep him. So, it's bad luck with Beard, dream job, Otzelberger, dream job, but I don't know if there's like a fix to work around that.
By the way, UNLV has had a coach that wanted to stay here for life. Fans didn't want him. So, what do you want? I think it's fair to say that to the fans. And I know, like, when we say the fans, it's not one voice. Like, everybody has their own opinions, everybody has their own thoughts. But Dave Rice wanted this job for life. Like, Dave Rice was that guy that you give him the job, he'll coach here until he retires. He would have coached for 40 years. And you didn't want him. So you want a guy, what you want is a guy that's going to win 30 games every year and want to stay here. Okay. I guess that's a dream world that everybody wants, but like, it's not this whole notion of like, we want a guy that just is committed to UNLV, committed to Las Vegas, wants to be here forever. You had him.
Eddie G says, not the CDR apologist, please.
That's fine, but again, what do you want?
I'll just tell you, people, first of all, I know it seems like a long time. It was 2013, the last time they made the NCAA tournament. They were also in a run of making it 6 of 7 years. Rice was underwhelming based on expectations. And I remember even during the 6 of 7 run, people were bitching about it. And no one can deny that. So even when UNLV fans were making the NCAA tournament, but they weren't winning enough games, people are like, you know what? Lon's kind of lost it. He's long in the tooth. We don't like Rice because he hasn't taken us to the NCAAs in a couple of years. So I'm not revising history, and I'm not going to go back and apologize for some of the weaknesses of Dave Rice, but what's happened since has not been great. So I think I don't have a problem with people out there, Mike, making a case that, they blew it with Rice. And in a lot of ways, Adam pointed this out, that when you fire a coach midseason, the rest of the coaches are watching. Rest of the coaches look at that and they're like, am I going to leave my job right now to go to a place where they blow people out every 3 years, every 2 years, every 4 years?
The thing with Dave Rice was he had his blueprint for what he wanted the program to be was perfect. except they just didn't win 25 games a year. Like the fans they want you to recruit top 50 kids every year. They want the best recruiting class. They want a national recruiting class. They want a national schedule with, they want you to play ranked teams. They want you to go on the road and play ranked teams. They want big games at the Thomas and Mack Center. And Dave Rice was delivering all that. And he's a guy who, bleeds UNLV. So he was pretty much the total package, except that they weren't winning enough games for them at the end, but at least it was fun, a fun fan experience, I'm sure, because at least you can hope on it. Like when you bring in a great recruiting class and you're the most talented team in the league, yeah, it sucks when you go 8-10 every year, but there's at least something to get excited about. And then transitioning to Marvin Menzies when it was, pretty bleak, and they had the one good recruiting class, but that fell apart. And then Otzelberger came in, and his recruiting wasn't really anything to write home about. Menzies wasn't really scheduling. If you look at what they've had in the past 10 years, like Dave Rice came the closest to getting UNLV to where everyone wants it to be, I feel like.
I'll fight back on one thing you just said. The TJ Otzelberger's recruiting wasn't anything to write home about. Like that class next year was insane.
Yeah, I would push back on that. I think what he did, not on Adam, I'll push back on that. His recruiting wasn't good. I think he layered this class with too many look-ahead guys, and he needed some more guys who were ready. But he didn't exactly know that he was recruiting against COVID, that he was going to need more immediate bodies. But yeah, Mike, next year's class, and Zion Collins just fell apart, obviously in a tragedy. Next year's class, I mean, if they can keep Kaluma and Gilbert on board, I mean, I don't know what's going to happen. But next year's class was going to be good.
Was gonna be, but the two recruiting classes he ended up bringing here, no high school players in year one. The 6 he brought in this year, half of them didn't play. The other 3, a couple of them looked, okay, maybe they're, a glue guy at some point down the road, but it just wasn't they weren't the kind of classes that UNLV fans want. Like they want, they want the big time. They want the 5 stars. They want flash and the talent. They want above the rim plays and athletes.
I think it's mixed. I think UNLV fans want 5 stars and some big names, but I also think they want locals who are going to stay for 4 years, the 3-star guys. And that's why, obviously Otz didn't think Yap was ready to go. I like Donovan Yap. I like guys like that in the class. And I also think it lays the groundwork to get more guys like that, the better players down the road in the market.
I think that, I guess now that he is, 99% gone, I can probably relay this, but at one point early in his tenure, when we were talking about recruiting and his philosophy, he said, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to try to hit singles and doubles. That's what he said on the recruiting trail. I want guys that are going to be here, guys that will take coaching, guys that we can mold long-term. They don't have to come in and play as freshmen. He used the term, we're gonna hit singles and doubles. I think the Zion Collins thing was a one shot where he had one kid that he wanted in his entire head coaching career. That was the kid he wanted the most because he could finally run the offense the way he wanted to. He wanted Collins. He got him. Kaluma Kane was like part of that wave. I don't know if 2 top 50 kids was the plan every year for Otzelberger after that. But I think the recruiting was mixed. It could have been a really great class next year, but it never came to fruition. So I think his recruiting sights were set lower than what UNLV fans want out of their head coach.
I'm just going to go back to, I'll take the bait because I almost never answer some of you dudes on the media elite thing. I don't know what it is. Like, what is it with some of the fans and this this pushback on some of the mainstream media people? I don't get it because it happened the last time around where you guys all bought this Thad Matta bullshit. Adam and I felt it on February 15th. We had not talked about it. We both started tweeting and talking about it on the air about Otzelberger being the top candidate for Iowa State. And there was some fucking message board that had chatted about it. I had never seen the goddamn message board. I saw a story up on the sports radio station in Des Moines about Otzelberger being a candidate. I then followed up with multiple sources, and they're like, "Yeah, yes." Here's the other. I'll get off the soapbox in a second. I work closely with UNLV, so I might actually have some sources, believe it or not, right? The other thing is, do you think I would just fucking throw something out there about Otzelberger when I work that closely with the program? Like, why would I do that? And Adam knows. Adam, over the years, we've done a show around each other for like upwards of 15 years. Am I a breaking news guy?
No.
Right? I'm not. So if I throw something out, like, it's well sourced. It's not some message board fodder bullshit. So I just wanted to say that. This isn't like some sort of victory lap. I'm not happy that UNLV is going to lose Otzelberger. We're just telling you back on, going back to February 15th, that day we had on Marcus Fizer, who played at Iowa State, and he was kind of like, nah, I don't see it happening, but we're like, we're telling you. There are people saying it's close. And then we had Brian Salmon on, who we'll get at Brian on again from NBC, who, when I first put it out that Otzelberger was being talked about at Iowa State, for some reason, Brian put up some laugh emojis, and we brought him on, and he said, well, I thought Otz to Iowa State was funny, and like, why would he leave for Iowa State? And then he kind of flipped around and said, why would Iowa State consider him? So it's all water under the bridge, and we do believe he's gone, right, Adam? Like, you guys both believe this is official?
I would say people close to the situation put the number at 96%. I would put it at 97, so we're close.
I mean, I was told today by two different people that the assistants were told this afternoon, maybe not all at the same time, that could be a problem. So, Mike, do you have any doubt? Have you heard from anyone like, hey, pump the brakes, this isn't done yet, it may not happen?
I haven't heard anyone caution against it happening, but I also haven't gotten anyone to say, he accepted the job, or like it's his for the taking. Like, everyone says, we think it's pretty much done. So I take that for what it is. It seems like it's really close, and I believe it's going to happen. Even if I can't, authoritatively report right now it's a done deal, but I do believe it's going to happen.
I'll say this just to go behind the scenes of how media works. That was a story that we were working on. Sam Gordon obviously broke the story for us. A lot of us were making calls and working on this story, and we were very, very confident when we wrote the story that it was accurate. And so there was that moment, though, and there always is, and Mike knows this as somebody that has broken stories before. When you are breaking a story and people are not going on the record 100% with you, there's that moment where you hit publish where you're like, who's going to call and deny this? Like, who's going to fight back, and who's going to say, you're wrong, this isn't true, what are your sources? Like, fight back at you, right? Didn't happen. So I will tell you right now that the amount of people that fought back on us that this is not true is zero.
Yeah. So there you go. There you go. Do we want to argue any more about Otz, or we can talk about this down the road and how he built the program? And do we want to give people what they want, and that is speculation on the next coach? Because we've been through we've been through like 7 of these now. So, Mike, what names were you seeing? Obviously, Rick Pitino at the top of the list.
Yeah, if you just go on social media, I would say Rick Pitino and Todd Simon are the two names that I've seen the most of, just like people throwing names out. Those are the two that are coming up like the most consistently, I think.
I mean, Pitino, listen, nobody's going to deny that Pitino's amazing. Like, if you're like, because I know when you caution people and you say, well, I don't know if Pitino's the right person for the job, or I don't know if Pitino's going to get the job, they're like, you don't think he'd win? No, he'd win. They would win a Mountain West title within 3 years. I think that's a guarantee. They'd be in the tournament within 3 years. Probably 2. But that's not the only issue. I mean, there are, first of all, you are already a school that would be scrutinized, and there are issues. And I know that there are some people at the school, both on the academic side and the athletic side, that are not comfortable with Rick Pitino in his past off the court. I will promise you that right now. I know for sure. I've had those conversations. And there also is the matter of the buyout, which you thought it was a joke. From everything that I've heard, it's true. It's a $10 million buyout.
The quote read as a joke when he was saying it to Athlon, but you're right. It looks like Pitino's buyout is 10 million, 10 million, 5 million, 2 million, 2 million for the next 5 years. Now,
UNLV did just get a gift.
Yeah.
Of $8 million.
Here's the thing. Like, when people throw it out there, Mike, tell me if you agree or disagree with this. When people throw out there, like, this amount of money is too much for UNLV, I don't believe there's an amount of, I mean, if it was 25 million, all right. I actually believe they could pay a $10 million buyout, because there are people around the program who are like, yeah, I get to decide, and Pitino's the guy. Yeah, I will cobble the money together and do it. But those aren't the only people in control of the hiring.
There's a couple things there. Is like, is there like a patchwork sort of booster network that you could go and pass the hat and maybe get to that number? Maybe, but it's not the strongest booster base. And Desiree Reed-Francois, who's the AD, she didn't consider Pitino the last time around. I don't see what would have changed in 2 years. And then they didn't go to the boosters when they made the last hire. I just don't think that's the way she operates. She's going to hire a search firm. They're going to compile a list. They're going to vet candidates. She's going to have several of them for interviews. Then they're going to choose like the finalists, and then they're going to pick the coach out of that. It's going to be a long process. It's going to be like an official corporate coaching search process. Like, that's how she's going to do it. It's not going to be like Iowa State, where it's like, well, fire one guy. We already know who we want. My good old buddy, TJ. Like, she's not going to go to some good old buddy that she has. She's going to do the official thing and go through the proper process, and they'll end up with who they end up with. That's how I believe it's going to work out. I don't think Rick Pitino is going to work his way into that official process somehow when he couldn't 2 years ago.
And Ricky says, Jesus Christ, are we Morals U now, or are we now Morals U? Yes. The boss right now is Morals U. So, and if anyone was reading a little bit of Twitter conversation I was having tonight on different candidates that were thrown out there, like Greg Marshall or Pitino or Bobby Hurley, listen, part of the reason that Tony Sanchez and Marvin Menzies are gone is they weren't her cup of tea. She has a certain type. If there is anything connected to you, anything that could be dirty, and that means even being an assistant, Joe Pasternak, UCSB, great candidate, Arizona guy. Now, if you read what I was saying on Twitter, I kept saying, if DRF is 100% in control of the hire, then you're not getting anyone who has anything shady in their background. Am I wrong on that, Adam?
No, go look where Joe Pasternak has worked. Look where his job was before this and what trouble they're in now.
Yeah.
And that is, to some people in the athletic department, a disqualifying thing. And to are we Morals U? Like, listen, I would hire Rick Pitino tomorrow. Absolutely. I'd find the $10 million, I'd pay it, and I'd hire him tomorrow. But I'm not in charge, and I'm not the one that makes those decisions. And I'm not the one, by the way, that has to pay the price down the road when these people inevitably do what they've done in the past. I'm not the one. Like, yeah, Greg Marshall's a great coach, but when he beats the fuck out of a player, I don't have to stand and answer questions about that. Whoever makes this hire does. Like, you hired a guy who's doing this. He did it again. That's on you. Now you got to answer those questions. And so it's easy to sit back and say, like, yeah, I'd hire Greg Marshall. He's a great coach. When he does what he does, which he's done everywhere he's been, now you got to answer the question of why you hired him. And the same with Rick Pitino.
Yeah. Mike, what do you think of what I was saying about DRF? And I'm ripping her. That's who she is. She wants people she believes are on the straight and narrow.
Yeah, they want a Boy Scout type. They want that clean cut, someone who's got a good personal record. And I believe, just looking at her past hires, it's been young up and coming coaches that she's trying to, I guess, discover or take to a new level. It's not been like, if you hire, Desiree Reed-Francois has some goals of her own. She's trying to get a bigger, better job. And as an athletic director, how much credit do you get if you say, "Oh, we'll just hire Rick Pitino"? I don't know if you get credit for that, that's sort of the reason why I think, like, I was thinking about when people bring up Stacey Augmon or Todd Simon or these other candidates who have ties to UNLV and are always thrown out there or are just like the obvious candidates. Like, does she get full credit for just if she goes out and hires Todd Simon after this? Any UNLV fan could say, like, why do we need an AD? Like, I could have made that hire. And I just something like, if you hire Rick Pitino, like any one of us could have made that hire. I think she wants to use the search firm, find someone a little less well-known, someone with, teaming with potential, and then bring him in here. And if he blows up, she gets the credit. She can move on to whatever her dream job is.
Don't you think that she's got to recalibrate a bit based on, now you couldn't get into the arena this year, but I mean, I think we all know the attendance this year was going to be like what? It was going to be bad. And I don't like, I think, I mean, they got to make some money in this arena. You don't get someone, and I'm not like a big sizzle guy, or you have to get someone with a name, but one that, they got to have that as part of the equation, that they get the crowd, they get the market fired up again. This hire is different than any other hire they've ever made. There were no Raiders here. There were no Golden Knights here. Hell, if they don't draw next year, they could be outdrawn by the goddamn Silver Knights. How's that going to look?
It's all the worse because everyone saw it coming, because the Golden Knights were announced. Then you had some time, like, this is going to be huge competition. UNLV, get your act together. The Raiders are coming here. They announced that years in advance. Like, UNLV, get your act together. You have a passionate, loyal fan base, but like, you're about to become a pro sports town. Like, get your act together. We're giving you this lead in time, and they couldn't do it. And they still haven't done it, and they're going to be behind the curve now when it comes to carving out space.
I'll tell you another one that it's going to be funny, but don't be so shocked when the women's program is drawing close to the same amount, because they are building a power with a local, kind of a legendary name in basketball, who's very tied into the local scene, who's bringing in local players, and went from, picked to finish last and finished second this year. Like, the women's program is going to be a power, and it's going to be a very locally based power. And they're going to start drawing a lot of people. And it's going to be tough. I mean, the men don't start. Listen, it's not going to happen next year, but the men don't start like picking it up. If they had like 2 more losing seasons, it would be close. I would also go back. I'm going to throw a name out that I wanted last time. It still is kind of a horizontal move, but I still love Mike Rhodes. The guy is still a great coach. He's back to the tournament again. I think you can't, like, he's making 1.2. I think you'd have to at least go like 1.8, 1.9, maybe even higher. But if he's not getting a job somewhere else, like, let's go.
Tell people who Mike Rhodes is.
He's the coach of VCU, runs up tempo all the time, full court press, just like, kind of throw back to the style that they love here. I don't think he's as good of the choices that we've tried to make in the past, which wouldn't have worked because they were taking bigger jobs. But, I know on our show, we've lobbied for guys like Brad Underwood and Nate Oates. They kind of worked out for their schools. But I mean, it was, those were not going to happen because they were going to take bigger jobs. But Mike Rhodes was a guy last time I thought was interesting. He still hasn't gotten a bigger job, and he's back in the tournament again.
Let me punch up some names. We'll go through a lot of the names. So start firing them in on the chat room. And I'm looking at the chat room. I'm going to get your comments up there. John Thompson III, there were a couple of whispers about him the last time, weren't there?
Yeah, very tied to Las Vegas.
Okay. I mean, straight and narrow guy, right, for the most part?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think the style is great. I don't know that people would love it. And he also didn't. I mean, he's won occasionally. He hasn't won consistently.
I talked earlier about second, third chance guys. If this guy's available from Kansas State, Bruce Weber.
No.
Okay, that was quick, Mike.
Too established. Like, it's too much already written about Bruce Weber. Like I don't think that's what
yeah.
she wants.
By the way, like as bad as UNLV was that we've been talking about, they went on the road and beat them.
Yep. Shooting high, like NBA high, Luke Walton.
He's coached in the NBA, but has it been like he's got NBA experience, but is it good experience? Like what makes him like an attractive college coach? Like I don't know why he would be at like jump to the top of your list immediately.
Would they go back to the football route and go high school? Noah Hartsock at Centennial. What?
Doubtful.
No.
Mark and LV says UNLV should embrace a controversial coach.
I'm okay with it.
Hey, I was all on board the Patino train last time. Like I want to cover a team that wins at some point.
Well, you're not very objective, by the way. Nor am I, because I agree. I would love to cover a much bigger story than we've had the last few years. It's I can only imagine if you think people around the team covering them are frustrated. I mean, for the fans, I feel you.
Noah Hartsock has an affordable buyout.
That's a good one.
I'm pretty sure he does. I think you're right. $10.
And we're not ripping on him. He could certainly be a college coach down the road, and not exactly a UNLV guy though from the past.
No.
Yeah. What do you think of this? Are you surprised, Vegas Rebel Drew, that a lot of people are now flipping on DRF?
No.
No, she's made 2 hires. The football coach that she hired went winless in his first season. And there wasn't a whole lot to take away from that season to make you hopeful about the future. And then the basketball coach that she hired, who I think TJ Otzelberger is a good coach. I would not be shocked to see him have success at Iowa State. That's more up his alley, I think, than UNLV. I think he'll be better there than he was here. But her basketball hire didn't do anything either. So she's hired 2 coaches. None of them have shown anything yet. She's about to get to make her second basketball hire. It's like, this was supposed to be a stepping stone job for her. Like, you've got to do something. Well, I guess you don't have to do something to take the next step, as we've seen with Otzelberger. But I'm sure Desiree wants a win at some point. She wants to make a hire that works out and is a big success. But we haven't seen it yet.
And, to Marcus, I don't think it's a courage deal with DRF. She has a certain type of person. Like, I hope I'm not talking about the story a couple of years from now, but I believe Steve Alford wanted the job, and I don't believe that he was even considered the last time around. So that's not her type of guy, or it's just not. Listen, we're getting the Stacey Augmon, and it's cool to mention he's been out of college coaching for 5 years, and regionally, wouldn't someone come calling for him, Adam? If he's going to be the head coach at UNLV, wouldn't have someone else stepped up and offered him a job, head coaching job somewhere?
You would think so. I don't know that the Stacey Augmon thoughts are based on much, except for he's a UNLV guy. I don't think it's based on anything he's done as a coach necessarily, especially at the college level.
Am I accurate in looking? First of all, I don't know if Hurley would leave Arizona State to come to UNLV. It would take a lot of money.
Yeah.
There's also the Duke UNLV thing. Mike, shaking your head on Hurley?
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think you're going to see a power conference. They're not going to bring someone from a higher level down to UNLV. I think you're looking at the opposite. I think they're going to go to a smaller league or maybe an assistant at a bigger conference, like someone who's ready to be a head coach for the first time, and they'll do that. I don't think they're going to get an established, power conference coach to come back to the Mountain West.
Can I answer I've seen 4 questions now. Why are people talking about Todd Simon?
Right.
Todd Simon, of course, ran for a little bit the most successful high school program in the nation. Came to UNLV, did a great recruiting job for a couple of years at UNLV. And then took over a program in Cedar City, Utah that was 4 and 138 over 4 years, and has turned them into the best program in the Big Sky in Cedar City, Utah.
They've gotten better every one of he's been there for 5 seasons. They've gotten better every season that he's been there in terms of record. Regular
They're 20
season
and
champs
4.
this year.
20 and 4 this year.
I mean, I think if you want a guy to go out and prove his coaching chops, like, I don't think he's winning in the Big Sky with 5-star kids. I think he's just doing a good job of coaching the players that he's getting. And then you wonder, we've seen him recruit at UNLV as an assistant, and they were bringing in elite recruits at the time. So you kind of combine that and say, if he can recruit like that as the head coach at UNLV, and he's the X's and O's guy that is winning the Big Sky at Southern Utah, and you can combine them, like, then maybe you're hitting on something. So I can see why Todd Simon would be at the top of a lot of people's lists.
I'm going to throw this name up, and I know, and it's not Pitino, it's Beeline. I know it seems crazy because also Indiana would love to get him. I'm not saying it could happen. I would love to see the call made. Beeline's a really interesting guy. Like, I don't know that he would be interested in Indiana because it's Indiana and all the stuff that goes on around Indiana. Is it worth a call, Adam?
Is it worth a call? Listen, I'll just leave it at this. I said it before. John Beeline is the best coach in all of sports.
That's not what I asked you.
So the answer is yes. John Beeline is the best coach in all of sports. So yes.
Mike, do you get what I was asking?
Yeah, it's
like, am I wasting my time calling him because you've got no shot at him? I know he's awesome.
Probably. He seems like the kind of guy who will, if he hasn't jumped back into college basketball yet, he's the kind of guy who can wait for a job that he wants to shake out. Like, he doesn't need to come to UNLV. He can wait for a power conference job and just slide in right there pretty much whenever he wants to.
Who's older, Adam? Beeline or Pitino?
Oh, Beeline looks older.
Pitino.
I think Beeline's older.
I think Pitino's older.
Really?
I think they're both 68.
Okay.
That's why I was asking. You have to realize Beeline toiled at lower levels for a long time.
I'll address a couple of things. Sorry, I'm jumping in comments. Southern Utah's still good.
Real quick, I think Pitino is about 4 months older. So, but keep going, Adam.
No, there was a question: if Southern Utah's so good, why are they not in the tournament? They won the league in the regular season. They lost to Eastern Washington in the tournament. Eastern Washington got really hot from 3 and beat them. But they were they're 20 and 4 in Cedar City, freaking Utah. And then there was some talk about, and I saw some people on the chat, but Dan Marley, people talk about Grand Canyon. Dan Marley fell apart at Grand Canyon, and it got real ugly at the end. And then Drew came in and was awesome. Took them to the tournament this year for the first time. So I would say no on Dan Marley also.
We've talked about Kevin Kruger on the air. We've talked about him here on the podcast. Mike, grab him now before he gets a job, 2-3 years, or is he not ready?
I don't know if he's ready, but if you want to, like, save any shred of continuity, like, if anything has killed this program over the past decade, it's just the constant rebuilding. And and every year you're sweeping out half the roster and bringing in new guys, and no one's staying more than a year or two. If you want some continuity and someone who might be a long-term kind of guy, like, I know Lon Kruger loved it here and he wanted to stay. I don't know where Kevin Kruger stands, like, in regard to that, but he might be a long-term answer. I don't know if he's ready to be a head coach. He's 37, 38, in his late 30s. Like, if you think he's ready, I don't know.
Yeah. Adam? Kruger?
He would definitely be in my top 4.
All right.
Yeah.
Call to Archie Miller.
I'd call him.
Yep.
If you look at, they were bad. He didn't make the tournament at Indiana, but Dayton in the A10, like, he had them rolling by the end. They're playing into the second weekend. They made the Elite 8 one year. Tournament pretty much every year. Like, if you want a guy who has demonstrated that he can win in a mid-major conference, I haven't looked at it enough to know, like, does he have a recruiting base? Like, how can he bring players out here? Like, how that's going to work? Where a guy like Todd Simon, he's going to recruit at a top level in Las Vegas. I don't know if you can say that about Archie Miller or whatever, but he won at Dayton a lot. So I would definitely check in on him.
What do you guys think the perception is of the job outside of Nevada?
They'll pay. They'll pay the going rate.
Checks cash. No, I think there is still a belief from a lot of people that they can win. I think there's also a belief that a lot of things have been botched the last couple of years. Again, like we talk so often about the Chris Beard situation, and I know this is a story we told, but like it got around coaching. The Chris Beard situation was not strictly Chris Beard got the Texas Tech job and he took it and he left and it was bad luck. It wasn't just bad luck. It was a complete mismanagement of the whole situation, the whole process that put him in a position to say, you know what, maybe I should rethink this. And it just so happened it came at a perfect time when Texas Tech opened and he went. That wasn't just bad luck.
And it just so happened that the Regents were still involved in the coaching process, many of them from the North, so I still hold it against them, and we want our money, you pricks. Because it's cost UNLV a lot of money, and down here as well, so they blew that one.
If you're a coach looking from the outside looking in, you know that when you take the UNLV job, it's a total rebuild from the start because you're going to have to – the entire roster is going to leave because there's never any roster continuity. So you know that your first year is going to be bad. And then you know that you have to win in a huge way in year 2 or else you're immediately on the hot seat. And if you're Marvin Menzies, you're gone after year 3. So it's like I have to go in. I know I have to start at the very bottom with scraps. The cupboard's going to be completely
let's – first of all, if they hire someone quickly, they might be able to save part of the roster. Secondly, it's a transfer. This is the biggest transfer year ever. And there's been a new standard set. And unfortunately for the rest of the Mountain West Conference and UNLV, it's been set by Musselman. Now, Musselman did have some returning players, but he also took over a 9-win program. And it took him 2 years to get to that next level. So whether you believe it can happen or not, because I do. I think you can quick fix programs. And I'm kind of tired of hearing like that everything is a 5-year rebuild.
I agree. You absolutely can turn it around quickly. But the thing is with UNLV, you have to, or else you're gone.
Oh, you're right.
There's no grace period. And if you're looking from the outside looking in, you may be able to keep some of these guys. You may be able to bring in transfers. But you're going to have to start from, below the baseline. You're going to have to do some really hard work to turn it around. And if you don't do it immediately, your seat is instantly hot. So it's a tough job from that perspective, but they will pay you the most in the conference. So
probably not Larry Eustace considering his past and what DRF wants. So there will be one person in the market yelling about Eustace, but it's stupid. It's a broken record. Cut the shit. I hope Gottlieb once again throws his hat in the ring. That's always fun.
Oh, one of the things I love is some of the same names that are putting their own name out there.
Oh yeah, the classic.
I mean, Thad Matta is one, and we talked about this. We've already joked about it, but the reason Thad Matta's name comes up for all these jobs. What? There was a job the other day that he was. Oh, Indiana.
Yep, he's on the odds board. Yeah, he was on the odds board. I saw an odds board. He was like, the 18th choice. No, actually, he was probably about the 9th choice.
It's preposterous. But there's a couple of, and Steve Lavin, his people will be out there too. We already saw Pastor Nack. I saw earlier. I had a representative of a coach in the WAC reach out to me today. I was like, okay, like, you want me to write that he wants a job? Like, come on, this is insane. But there's some of the same names that are just going to be resurface in every single coaching search.
A lot of Lavin. I'm not so sure that you're suggesting that he wants to coach still, Adam.
I think he wants to be mentioned.
Yeah, that's what I think too. I mean, has he been in the running seriously for any other job? Did I miss it in the last 5 or 6 years?
I think every once in a while. Wasn't he mentioned at the Reno job?
Was he? All right.
I thought so.
I don't think Chuck Person is in the running. No.
I saw, and I know our friend Jim Gemma and a couple other people on here have mentioned Damon Stoudemire.
Yeah.
I actually don't think he's done a very good job at Pacific.
No.
I mean, everybody kind of raised it. Like, he's very middle of the pack. They're not really getting, elite talent. Like, they're okay. And I know he has a, UNLV connection on staff with Hawkins, who's just an awesome kid. But like, I don't know what Damon Stoudemire has done to really, blow up. Like, I just saw some of the references to us when we're talking about what Todd Simon has done at Southern Utah. Todd Simon, he might not get the job here, and he probably won't. You can't deny he has done a fucking incredible job. He has been unbelievable at Southern Utah.
Someone will hire him.
Huh?
Someone will hire him probably soon.
Oh, yeah.
They should. That program was shit. Complete and total shit. He made them a 20-win team in like 5 years.
Yeah. It's not going to be
Ryan City.
It's not going to be Ryan Miller. It's not going to be Mike Miller. By the way, they're brothers, and then it's Arch Miller and Sean Miller, if people were getting confused on the Millers. See, this one's interesting. I think Mike said this earlier about Todd Simon's coaching. Todd Simon is good, but he'll get outcoached. I mean, he must be coaching at Southern Utah, because I know he's a great recruiter, and he would recruit to UNLV, no doubt. But you worried about him getting outcoached on this level, Mike?
He's like I said, I don't think he's winning with 5 stars at Southern Utah. I think he's probably working with talent that is comparable to the rest of his league, and he's winning with them. I know that if you just in terms of style, I know he's a heavy analytics guy. He's a no mid range. He's a 3 and layup kind of guy. He's a play the defensive percentages based on like your synergy numbers, and I know he's heavily into that. But I think like if another AD on the outside will look at his 5-year run at Utah State, where they're just getting better and better and better every year, and they're going to say like, this guy can coach. What happens if we give him a job where he can also recruit better players? And like, if it doesn't happen this year, I think it'll probably happen soon for him.
Adam, no one's mentioned Krzysztofiak.
He's a really good coach.
He had a lot of attrition the last couple of years, though.
He's abrasive.
Yeah. By the way, I was told by at least one person who covers that scene that Craig Smith wouldn't go to Utah. That Craig Smith would leave in a heartbeat for Minnesota. So these are scary times for the Mountain West. San Diego State fans better be crapping themselves right now with that weird clause in Dutcher's contract. That $1 million buyout for Minnesota, but $6 million for everyone else. That's weird, isn't it, Mike? Have you ever heard of that? One school gets a super low buyout.
I can't reference a specific example, but I think I feel like I've heard of it before, but I can't give you any evidence that I have. But I feel like there are dream job clauses in contracts where you can, there's one place where you can go free and clear, and then that happens to be his school.
Did you see the finals list at Minnesota? I know there was 5 names that I heard.
Oh, really?
And I definitely heard who everybody thinks is getting the job, but I can't remember. I can't remember right now who it was.
Really? It's not Dutcher and it's not Craig Smith?
No.
Wow. Well, see if you can find it. Anyone else hear it? By the way, this is the name. I know Adam and I are like, yeah, this is a top 5 guy to at least get a look at UNLV, and maybe Grimala disagrees. Tim Miles?
Yeah.
Are we like, did New Mexico overlook the obvious?
It's a guy who he's competent. I get it's a guy that could come in here and like he's done good things before. Sort of coming home, I guess, to the Mountain West. Did a good job at Colorado State. If you're looking for like a proven guy at this level, like you could do worse than Tim Miles. Like I think if you hire him, you're probably in good hands.
Do you want me to? Sorry, you want me to read this list?
You don't sound like you're thrilled on that one.
It's not going to blow anyone away. Like no one's going to be throwing a parade. Like, hey, we got Tim Miles. Like the glory days are here again. Like I can't wait to see this next year's schedule, and I can't wait to pack the MAC for the Tim Miles era. But like, it won't be. You probably won't be bad.
So here's the finalist list at Minnesota. See if you can guess who gets the job. Porter Moser, from Loyola Chicago. Musselman.
By the way, like Dutcher, Musselman's dad also coached at Minnesota. So
Yeah.
Yep.
Dutcher, Craig Smith, Dennis Gates.
Unless Musselman's like dying to get the Minnesota job, I think Arkansas is going to do whatever they can to keep him.
Yeah.
So, but maybe that's his dream job. But you know what? I'd rather recruit to the SEC. I think there's more upper mobility. Academic standards are lower. The fan base in Arkansas is intense. So,
And by the way, it's Dennis Gates is getting the job.
really?
Yeah.
Why is that?
There's a strong push for him.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. He's the Cleveland State coach for those that don't know.
Do you think they're making a mistake by not? Man, I think Dutcher would do an amazing job there.
So do I. I think it'd be a slam dunk hire.
Porter Moser is Indiana's number one guy. Boy, that list got pared down a bit, didn't it? Guess the dream of Brad Stevens ended quickly.
That might not be the case there either.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Look at Adam holding back. He's like with the tease, the pause.
Well, because they're like, we talked about this earlier. You get told things that you can't really say.
Right. You can hold off.
But yeah, there's definitely reasons. And by the way, those two jobs are related, right? Big Ten.
Okay.
Conference may have some influence on who people will hire.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Any East Coast guys you'd be interested in?
Rhodes was already mine that I went for.
Yeah.
VCU.
Someone was asking about East Coast guys. I sent a message to one of my college friends. I was like, yep, UNLV's ready to go. 6 years, $18 million on Steve Peichel. Let's do it. He was like, really? I'm like, relax. I doubt they're familiar with him.
Yeah, that would be. I don't know that. He's already in the Big Ten. It's not a glamour job. He's a unbelievable coach. I loved when Rutgers made that hire.
He's due, and I think he's at like $2.5 million now, and in the next 4 years, I think he jumps to like 3.7. So it's also, I don't know if it's a regional match. Although I will tell you, for old UNLV fans, I don't know if you know this, but Shoes Vitrone is on the Rutgers staff. That'd be nice to have him back at UNLV. Be great. I'll bet you on this. It's not a former Rebel coach, right? You're talking about a former Rebel player. I'd bet on this. Not that I don't want Kevin Kruger to get the job, but I'm kind of playing the odds. So,
No.
yeah. I don't think Theus is going to be the guy, folks.
No, I hope not.
I don't think anyone with a previous tie to the university is going to get the job.
I agree, and that's why, Adam, I think it's going to be held against Todd Simon.
Me too.
I was told that.
I think there was enough creative recruiting going on at times with the Dave Rice staff and also the Menzies staff that if this is who said it earlier about something about morals blanking you, yeah, they're not going to go back.
So, okay, Trump would be interesting. That'd be a good hire.
Oh, Mike, would you be down for that?
No.
Come on.
I want.
Well, it's good because you can lose. He can lose every game, and then tell people that he won, and half of the people would believe it.
I want to cover a team that wins just for once, and not to get political, but it seems like everything he touches just turns to garbage, and that's UNLV has had a string of those coaches.
Whoa!
Let's not get political here, okay?
Yeah, so let's hire a non-political coach who we think might be able to win.
My halftime interview with Donald won't do it, but DJ TJ will do the halftimes with me. do it. He'll be all fucking yoked up. Actually, that'll be coming out of the half. Be like, dude, what happened at the half? You are bouncing off the walls, DJ TJ.
Also, you're hiring Trump to be an absentee coach, while friggin' Jared Kushner will be the guy actually with the clipboard running the team during the game. So who wants that?
Nice.
I think Kevin beat me to the joke, but Reggie Theus is used to coaching half-court games on like very small courts when he coached on the Hang Time show. It's just awful. You get a girl on the team, that's not going to fly at UNLV.
Mike, you want to run? You want to stick around? We were just going to mention the Raiders real quick for a second before we get out of here. You tell me. I know you got a little work to do, buddy.
Did you take your nap?
I did not take a nap. I'll leave you guys if you're moving on to other things.
All right, Mike, we appreciate it.
Thanks.
Make sure you check out Mike in the Las Vegas Sun. And are you on tomorrow with Bischoff and Ed?
Not that I know of.
What the hell?
I'm sure they have their own opinions that they want to get. Like, that's the first day. They're gonna cover it all themselves, and then maybe later in the week they bring in an expert.
Well, also listen. We have a superstar who I think is watching right now, but Sam Gordon, big scoop today. I'm sure he's going to be on.
Sam. Good job.
Yeah,
that's a good point. It's a good point. You got to service your guys at the RJ. Got to get it done.
That was a big story.
That's a big story, no doubt. All right, Mike.
Okay.
Thank you for jumping in. I know it's late.
Are you going to kick me out of here, or do I have to do anything?
You can stay.
No, but how do I get off camera? Do I just exit out of this board, or what am I doing?
I can remove you, and when I remove you, you're in the green room. But you could just X out of the page, and then it goes bye.
Okay, that works.
I cut him off. Is that bad that I kicked him out? I was trying to be polite because sometimes we keep people on for way too long, and they're like, I don't really want to be here.
No, but I also like. Well, he's usually in bed by this time. He was going to take a nap to be on the show. I did like early in the show. We didn't get to the comments, but people were saying that his background is as boring as his. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, Ray was he fading? You could tell he was kind of looking around like, what are these guys talking about?
Yeah, he'd had it for sure.
See, I don't know why you would say this at all. Yeah, I'm predicting Sam is on, and then but before that, at 7:20 will be Brett Lashbrook to react.
Is he still around?
Yes, he was on the show. He was on the show 2 days ago at 7:30. I think he was on. What's 2 days ago? Monday. I think he opened. I think he was on Monday. Can I take you behind the scenes with Cofield and Company? Ari's been working really, really hard on getting like an NFL insider to cover a certain team, and it's taken him like 2 days to get it. And I call him up after the show, like 45 minutes after the show. I'm like, "Did you land someone for that spot?" And he's like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Well, you know what, dude? We're clearing the decks. All the guests we had previously booked for tomorrow's show are off. They're all gone." He was like, "What? What's going on?" I'm like, "Ari, like, Otzelberger could be gone. Like, we're doing UNL. We have to cover this." And he's like, "Oh, I guess you're right." I'm like, relax, dude. We'll pull it together. He's a bundle of nerves every day with the guest, every day.
He was panicking today. It's 24 hours away.
He was panicking. It was weird, man. Like every break, he's like, "I'm working on this one team." I'm like, we can do without the one team. We'll be okay. All right, so what's going on with Nicholas Morrow? He is coming back, so we get some good news on the Raiders.
Yeah, good news for the Raiders. I think a guy that was pretty coveted in the free agent market, Nick Morrow, who I think hopefully for the Raiders will play right guard and linebacker. That'd be nice to get a very versatile player in because still have no offensive lineman. But yeah, Morrow I think is a really good signing. I think he'll be very effective in this defense. He's really effective against the pass. In both, he can get to the quarterback occasionally, but also in coverage. I think a very important piece to bring back, and a guy that would have been very difficult to replace if he was gone. I think that's the bigger thing. Not only do you get to keep him, you don't have to go find a replacement for him.
It's not that tight a ship with Ari. We're trying to, you want to cover the stories, man. Trying to cover the stories. Got to get some UNLV reaction on. So,
well, Ari's come a long way. He does great at his job, but the reacting to news part is a little difficult?
On the fly, producing is kind of tough, but he did a good job the other day. He got us 2 guests. One we didn't have on because we ran out of time, but he got us a couple of guests to react to Ngakoue quickly. So what is that? You getting more information on Hudson? Are they cutting him? Did he say cut me? What's going on?
Yeah, there was the one report, and I've talked to a couple people that believe it to be true that he asked to be cut. Now that doesn't mean that you have to. I mean, just because somebody asked for their release doesn't mean you have to. I mean, I guess he could have retired if he wanted to really fight him on it. But that is a story. I don't have the reporting. I haven't talked to anybody that confirmed that or said that was true. But yeah, it does appear he may have asked to be released, and the Raiders did it knowing that a year from now, if he continues to, again, he's still a very good player, but he did decline a bit this year. And if he declines again significantly, you're faced with a really, really bad dilemma next year in terms of the cap hit that you would take by cutting him. So I think they basically just got ahead of the game. And yeah, he would make a lot of sense.
Oh my God.
For Kansas City.
If he lands in Kansas City with the Chiefs.
And Kyle Long.
Yep. Yikes. I saw Vinny teasing that something else might be coming tonight. And then I saw some people talking about, it might have been Vinny, that the wide receiver market was kind of getting depressed.
Yeah.
A couple of days, which is amazing. It hasn't started yet. Like if free agency, the real year starts tomorrow. Are you hearing anything on like a decent name receiver coming in to replace Aguilar? And by the way, I saw new numbers on Aguilar that the deal was actually like 2 years and 22, not 2 years and 26 million.
Yeah, and that a lot of it is bonuses, and it's as we said, we talked about how much these contracts are going to be low this year, big next year. It looks like his base salary this year is $1 million, and next year it's $9 million. Which is, it tells you everything you need to know about what teams are trying to do to manage the cap this year. $10 million signing bonus. I think that it can get to 26 in bonuses, but just the and then the other thing, I think we addressed this last week, but it's such a convoluted thing of the bonuses that are declared either likely to reach or unlikely to reach, and that there's an arbiter that has to decide whether it's likely these bonuses are going to be reached this season, and then it impacts the salary cap one way or the other, which is insane. But it looked like his bonuses were fairly reachable, so it could get to that number.
We talked earlier about who was it? Albert Breer, NFL guy nationally, and Jordan Rannon, who covers the Giants. We're talking about Kenny Golladay, not really a Giants guy, and then Breer made a reference to the way Golladay went out, and he said he's probably not a Patriots guy either. And then we started to connect the dots from Patricia and the Lions to Belichick to Joe Judge down to Flores. I mean, if the Giants and the Dolphins aren't interested in Golladay, like where's the interest coming from? Could the Raiders swoop in and get a little bit of a discount here and bring in a big baller like Golladay, a wide receiver?
I mean, I would, and I think I believe Juju was the plan going into free agency. I thought that there was kind of already some mutual interest and that it might be done pretty quickly.
Juju too?
To the Raiders.
Oh, really? I hadn't heard you mention that one time.
Yeah, but at the same time, I think it's one of those things, like if that was the plan and that is who you were trying to get and that's who you're going to go after, and all of a sudden you find out Golladay is the same price, like, oh, the market's being depressed. Okay, now you start to think. I mean, Golladay is obviously an incredible player with tremendous upside and a great playmaker and a guy that I think would thrive in this offense. So if you can get him for a reasonable price, I think you have to definitely do your due diligence on that. And especially if the market is depressed because none of the Patriot coaching tree will touch him, good for every other team.
Am I wrong in thinking I'm kind of glad that the Raiders are waiting a little bit here? Waiting for things to settle down. They jumped in on Ngakoue, and now let's see where this thing settles, especially with the offensive lineman.
Yeah, I think it's good. I mean, unless, as we've discussed, like we think that toward the end, a couple weeks down the road, even a couple months down the road, even after the draft, there could be guys that are starting players that are not signed because they don't think they're getting what they deserve, and they're not willing to take a lesser deal for this year when the salary cap goes down. And so they might just be sitting out there. And you could, take one or two guys right here and pay them big money, and then sit back and wait and fill the rest of your roster with bargains of guys that think they're going to get money and they don't, and then you can fill them in on your roster. I think that is a very wise approach. Now, if it goes the other way and guys just get snatched up,
yeah,
and you're on the outside looking in, that's no fun. But there should still be some guys out there.
Yeah, if I'm a Raiders fan for Pro Martini Maker, I'm not really interested in drafting receivers high in this draft. I think you got to get an experienced guy or two. You have other areas where you have to start fortifying with some young guys.
Agreed. Well, here's the
you got two guys last. Well, you drafted a third, Bowden, who could have been a wide receiver, but you got two guys last year. You got to let them develop.
Yeah. Now, obviously, without that other starter that's out there that you expected to be in Nelson Aguilar, you do need a playmaking guy, but you do expect Edwards to take a step forward. You do expect a lot of those things to happen. The weird thing about this draft, for those for that comment of it's a deep wide receiver draft, I've been looking at them a lot at the wide receivers, and here's the weird thing: there's 3 elite receivers, and Waddle and Smith and Chase. And there's like a huge battle for who that fourth guy is. Kind of like last year where we thought it was only 3, and then there was, some of us thought there was a fourth. But there's a fight for who the fourth guy is. And so I do think there's going to be some real value in the second round, even the third round of some of these receivers because, who's fourth? Is it Rashad Bateman, who's just a good playmaker, a good all-around player? Rondale Moore, who's great with the ball in his hands? You got like Elijah Moore, Kadarius Toney, who is he's like a pitches and screens guy, but also can get downfield. All those guys are in that mix, and you're not going to have 7 receivers in the first round. So you're going to have guys falling down to the second and third round. They're going to be really good. And so unless you have some really strong opinion on somebody, I think you're going to be able to get guys later.
Coming full circle to close things out, do you think we mentioned the next UNLV basketball coach during this podcast?
Should I set a percentage?
What do you think?
I'm going to say 76% we did.
Really? Wow. Okay.
We mentioned like 100 names.
All right. I'm not so confident that we did. I know we mentioned 76 names. I'm not so confident that we mentioned the person who's actually going to get the job. Thank you, Casey Chief, says 99.9%. I'm going to do this to close out because I feel bad for you because I think you got hammered here, but maybe there's a little vindication. I have a message board, maybe a Facebook post or a Twitter here that someone posted about you back in mid-February when you were talking about TJ Otzelberger being a top candidate for Iowa State. You want to see it?
Sure.
All right.
Do I? I don't know.
Let's see. One local host is spreading a completely false rumor that Coach TJ Otzelberger could leave for Iowa State. This is based on a dozen Iowa State fans who voted for TJ. The other 1,000 fans or so voted differently. The same amount of Iowa State fans who voted for TJ are around the same number of listeners this local host has. Pathetic. Let me be very clear. If TJ cannot even win half his games in the awful Mountain West Conference with some NBA talent, then he has zero chance to be the next head coach at Iowa State. Wow. All right. Plant the flag.
This looks like Facebook.
Damn.
That is awesome.
What are you going to do? No chance he's going to go, right? You nailed it.
Zero chance. I think they're talking about you, by the way, but that's fine. That's fine.
Bischoff was mentioned in the post, so it wasn't Bischoff.
Yeah. It was that was about Steve, but that's
then he has zero chance to be the next head coach at Iowa State. I'm reading that right? Correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Zero chance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're sure it wasn't about you?
No, it was about you. I'm pretty sure it was about you.
Okay.
You were the one that was all into the poll. I didn't really care about the poll. I cared about the actual situation.
I was not into the poll.
You were using the poll. You were using the poll to get the conversation.
I used a poll from the Des Moines radio station. And like I said, I called on contacts. I called on sources, and I would not run with some stupid poll question. So, but whatever. I will say for other people in the market who are like, there's no listeners. Why are we on the road every day? Why is every show sold on the road in a pandemic? Like, that kind of is the best indicator, right? Of how a radio station is doing.
But those businesses don't care about profit, Steve. They're just paying us because they like us.
It's weird.
Obviously, they don't get any business from being on the show with us.
No, it's all luck. So anyway, all right. Well, we'll see what happens overnight and tomorrow. I will say I am surprised that I haven't seen John Rothstein mention the Otzelberger scoop, and I think like of all the media people, I kind of sense that Otz was pretty close with Rothstein. So
well,
maybe this is all nothing and it's not happening.
I think I don't think TJ's ready for it to be out because I think as you mentioned, I don't think he's told everyone.
Right.
I don't think he wants the news to be out there. I'm sure that he didn't want the news out there today when it went out. I know that.
Let's do it. Ed Bernstein, new head coach at UNLV.
A posted schedule for appearances.
Yeah, we kind of, it's a need to know basis day to day. Well, we will work on that. We will work on that. It rotates, but right now it looks like for the next 6 of 7 Mondays, the show with no listeners, the D decided to buy the show, so we'll be at the D at the Bar Canada, which is very cool. They've got collectors VGK cup you can buy as a special. They're gonna have pitcher specials, so we're gonna be there just about every Monday night the rest of the regular season. I think it's 6 of the next 7 weeks, something like that. Tomorrow we're at TI. Thursdays we're at Silver 7. TI rotates. Thursdays at Silver 7. Friday we're going to be at the Westgate. Man, the show's struggling. Friday at the Westgate for the NCAA tournament. And then, like I said, I know the schedule, but you're right. We should post it so that you guys know, and we want you guys to come out. But next 3 days, TI, Silver 7s, and Westgate. And on a serious note, we really do appreciate all the clients who step up to have us out on the road because those partnerships are invaluable, and they really floated us big time during the pandemic because there are a lot of radio stations out there. You saw it. There were a lot of stations that got rid of their host, downsized. They certainly were not going to be doing shows on the road. So the fact that we had interest from all these clients is freaking awesome. And this sounds inviting. Yeah. Eddie's like, post the schedule so we can stalk you guys.
And also, could we heckle you like the drunk ladies at Golden Nuggets?
Yeah. It's funny. I think Kevin's dropped this joke before. Silver 7s, huh? Living that VIP life. I actually like being at places that have good specials. So Silver 7s is awesome. Silver 7s they've got 277 drinks during happy hour, and on a Thursday, it's actually any game night for VGK. We're not going to be there every game night, but any game night for VGK during the game, they have 77-cent beers. So I don't know, go get a couple of pops and move on somewhere else. I've always liked Silver 7. So, and Renee wants to send some merch. We got to get some merch for his joint in Kansas City.
Yeah, he wants to send us merch.
Yeah. And we're going to start ramping up the shows at Battleborn because Justin just built out a new studio. It's pretty cool.
It's awesome.
Yeah. And Brady says, I like places that support things I like, so I'll fuck with Silver 7s.
It's they got a live poker. It's fun.
Yeah. Mohegan Sun. We're not going to make it out that way. It's not really a regional tie, but we did shows.
Steve, you're wrong.
Oh, you're going to be there?
No, Mohegan Sun, Las Vegas.
Wait, what's going on?
They are running the casino at Virgin.
Really? When was that announced?
Mohegan Sun Casino at Virgin Hotel.
I think JT the Brick is out there for the opening of Virgin, which is probably what, next week? 325, 26?
Yeah, March 25th.
So I know he's going to be out there. Right, we're working on the audio. We had some difficulties. We're working on it.
Are you there tomorrow?
No, tomorrow's TI.
Oh, I'm not on tomorrow.
You're not, but we may call on you if there's any giant Raider news. If you wake up,
I'll be sleeping from now until the VGK game tomorrow night.
Yeah, are you gonna get down? Are you gonna go to Virgin? Didn't you were part of the closing down party, right, at the Hard Rock?
Literally one of the last people. I was one of the last 15 people in there. I should, right? I'll be fully vaccinated by then.
All
I
right.
feel like that's a good move. My reintroduction to public, crowded spaces.
And to Brady, yes, you can come heckle at the live remote like the drunk broads do at the Golden Nugget. So we're going to work on the Golden Nugget, and so I will tell you where I'm very fired up that Vegas is opening up. I want to do it safely. I think it's awesome that we're letting more fans in, and we like doing road shows. So my guess is for the fall we'll be out 5 days a week. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully everything is opened up safely and we're all good, right? Everyone get the vaccine. Let's do it.
Please.
First shot is Thursday. When does Virgin open? Yeah, next week.
March 25th.
March 25th. NFL reporter should get priority to what? The opening or vaccine?
Vaccine.
Why do you have to wait? I guess, well, medically you have to wait 3 weeks, right? Or whatever it is, 2.5 weeks.
Yeah. And I had to wait 3 months from having it.
That's right. What a ride. This will be a good story down the road. I don't want to jinx it. But I was going to say the guy who was the most careful and got tested the most was the one who got it.
Yeah, true.
Freaking COVID. Amazing. All right, everybody. We'll wrap it. We're back tomorrow. 9:00 start tomorrow. Petro will be on, so we'll have some Kansas City topics, and we'll have a bunch of stuff to get into. A little Chiefs Raiders trash talk, and we'll see what else Petro wants to talk about. And who the hell knows what's going to happen in free agency. Tomorrow could be totally crazy. All right. We'll see you later. Thank you.